Hello YouTubers, this is Adam's Fascinated Fire Alarms here, and today we'll be looking at this very cool, one of my favorite rare fire alarms. So these types of fire alarms are a very rare first generation Wheelock AS-241575s. So this first generation is a Wheelock AS-241575, and it's got the LSM strobe, if I get it right. This rare fire alarm is one of my favorite types. They come from one of my favorite old schools, which these kinds of fire alarms that came from my school, they came from Wakefield Elementary School, and these are very cool rare fire alarms. So maybe sometime in the future, I might get one of these very cool rare first generation Wheelock ASs on eBay. After that, I'm gonna review one of this. So this is a very cool alarm. So this first generation, this Wheelock AS doesn't have a code 3. This one only can do continuous. But what you can do is, you can find the Wheelock sync modules, and then you can hook up to this Wheelock AS, and then it could make it sound in code 3. Once I get the Wheelock sync module, we'll definitely see how this Wheelock AS-2415 75 or 2415s anywhere can make the Wheelock AS doing also code 3 instead of continuous. So on the sticker right there, it says AS-241575. This Wheelock AS-241575, it has like a very cool different strobe on it. It looks familiar, which it has the MT24 LSM strobe on it, which is very cool alarm. And it sounds very chirping of very different ways than the high pitch like the Wheelock MT and the AS-24 MCWs. This Wheelock AS-241575 has got to be one of my favorite old rare fire alarms. For these types of rare fire alarms, they make one of those since back in the mid-90s or early 90s, like in the 1990s. And this Wheelock AS can sound only do continuous, but if you find the Wheelock sync modules, you can hook it up the Wheelock sync module into this Wheelock AS, and that can sound like doing code 3. Usually when it does do code 3, it makes the strobe also do code 3 as well, unless the strobe can do in continuous while the horn is doing code 3. So, these types of fire alarms are very cool and very rare too, which these that came out from the 90s. And this is the first generations. So here's a first generation Wheelock AS-241575 that came from this box. I think this is actually the Wheelock AS-2475, not just a Wheelock AS-241575. It's basically a Wheelock AS-2475 VFR, and these are very cool and very rare too. So once I get one of those on eBay, I'm going to start reviewing this alarm. I'm going to start reviewing this very cool Wheelock AS 241575s like this. Then I'm going to show you review it in the future. And also, these one of my favorite old alarms I got from my schools. This is a Wheelock SR 241575 VFRs. These only Wheelock remote strobes came from these bathrooms, or sometimes hallways, or sometimes other classrooms too, usually in the gym or anywhere else. The cool thing about one of these very cool Wheelocks is that very cool rare remote strobes, which is very similar. This is very similar to the MT, but this is basically the SR, or basically like this is basically the RS. And these also rare, very cool, is a very cool Wheelock LS1Ms. They also came from the other schools too. They used to be. This used to be came from the Wakefield Elementary School in the bathrooms, as you can see. I still have this Wheelock LS1Ms, but sadly, this LS1M doesn't connect it anymore. Like the screw terminal's cover is broke. This other older version Wheelock is a Wheelock AS-2415. The 2415 is a very similar strobe thing on it, and this generation is a Wheelock AS-241575s, which has a strobe that's been like this. And I would say this Wheelock AS-2415 that came from this back cover, it has a little bit blackish color. I may probably get one of this in the future on eBay. After that, I'm gonna review this one too. For this Wheelock AS-2415, this came from my Dillingham elementary schools, and some Pioneer middle schools, and some Sherman High School, which is now middle school. Sherman Middle School, they still have one of those. They have one of those alarms. Basically, most other Wheelock AS's older versions, they have like darker colors, like red, darker red, and lighter red, and different kind of red colors on these alarms. And also, by the way, I was able to go into order this Wheelock AS on eBay, but it's out of stock, which means I might have to wait and get another one like this sometime in the future, since this one's already been sold. So here's a different Wheelock AS. This is a second generations. This is a Wheelock AS-241575Ws. These came also from the Wakefield Elementary Schools, Fairview Elementary Schools, Dillingham Elementary Schools, Pioneer Middle Schools, and some Sherman High Schools or middle schools. They got one of those alarms like this. Some like this they do in code 3. And they're also very different too. As you can see, it has a fire on the side of it. This is a second generation, like I said. But this fire alarm can do also in code 3 this time. Instead, these type of Wheelock AS-241575s, some 2415s, first generations, these ASs can do continuous. These don't have code 3, but when you put the Wheelock sync modules onto this Wheelock AS, it can do code 3 instead of continuous. Usually this first generation Wheelock AS can also do code 3 by with the strobe can do also code 3 unless the strobe can do continuous. Just a regular strobe instead of like doing the code 3 strobe. Only the horn that can do it code 3 on the Wheelock sync modules. So that's basically it. That was a very cool, one of my favorite old rare types of fire alarms. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time on the next video. And this is Adam's Fascinating Fire Alarms, and sign out. Take care, everybody.